Oh, hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. Well, I've thought about this for quite some time. I've been here on the YouTube streets now. This is my second channel. Well, my second channel to where I said I would get on here and give you guys a little opinions and thoughts about stuff. I want to say shout out to all those that'll be listening to this. I'm just going to keep it short for right now because, like I'm saying, I have things to do. I have places to go, and I'm kind of busy. But my biggest question of right now is where is Black History Month? We sit on these YouTube streets and channels. We watch TV. We comment on everything going on in the world. But I have yet to hear. But I've seen one thing that shocked me, and uh, is that how we're lacking here on these YouTube streets and in the beefing sector, the black most, well, I'm not going to say all sectors, but especially in the sector that I supposedly started in and came from, where everybody wants to say the beefing sector. Where's our pride and dignity in the history of black people this month? I said, we're so busy tearing down one another on these streets, talking about things that may affect our lives and do things to other people. As a black, older black generational person, we're lost now. We're lost. I'm just saying the world is lost. This country is lost. Black people from this country are lost. We are taking 3 steps backwards. I'm going to say three, because number one, we're still allowing the control, our minds to be controlled by things that we know that are false, the things that we know that's impossible for us right now, far as the economy goes, far as job situations, and far as even getting paid the reparations that we're owed as black people in this country. I've looked at things differently in a different light within the past 5.5 months. And I still wonder, why are we doing stuff to one another here for penance? Why are we still talking about things that affect our lives to the point where we're mentally broken down, or we get ill, or we get sick over something that someone has said? And when I look at it, it all has to do with, for the love of money, for the resources that this channel provides for us, which is nothing, which is pittance. But getting back to Black history, there was a time when I thought Black Americans would be proud of having a month dedicated to them. But when I looked into the situation and really thought about it, we have nothing to be proud of. We have nothing to really keep our minds going in the right direction, to where we try to uplift one another. We try to be spiritual with one another, or we try to say things to one another that would help us pull us up by our bootstraps, as they once said. If you look into the records of Black history, a lot of people don't even realize that Black history is not really that old of a history. Yeah, they tell you it might started in 1915, but it didn't take effect until what, 1971? So from 1915 to 1971, there was a big gap. That's a big gap, folks. And we don't know why or how come it was chosen. And when I looked it up, here's what I found. The it was actually the Negro Life and History. It was association with Negro Life and History in the year 1926. That was way before a lot of our times on here. Hell, half of us had parents back then, grandparents, great grandparents. And just think about it, they couldn't read. Most of them couldn't read. Let's face the facts. Most Black people couldn't read. Most Black people were still trying to find their way, their own freedom, especially Black women. Black men were still being tortured, beaten, battered. And there's a lot of things that went on in 1926 that they failed to look at. But it was supposed to recognize the contributions of African Americans to US history. So, what history were they putting in the books back then? It was also chosen because to include two birthdays, mind you, two birthdays of prominent people. One was Mr. Frederick Douglass, an abolitionist. Uh, well, they said he wanted to end the practice of slavery, but then there was another one, a U.S. president named Abraham Lincoln. If we do our history and everything, we know that Abraham Lincoln did not really want to end slavery. So why would they honor such a person? You know, they said that the Civil War was fought over slavery. No, it wasn't fought over slavery, folks. It was fought over to see what states would have the right to keep their slaves, but it wasn't to free us. It wasn't to make us free. It wasn't to give us liberations because if you lived in the South, you were there. Up north, it was a different thing. And then it had a lot to do with textiles and far as modern things such as steel mills versus cotton. And we'll talk about that later on, I think this month, because there's a lot of things going on during that time that people failed to realize that, hey, Black people weren't included in it. As it went on up, we found out that it didn't get passed until 1971 to observe this day, the year 1971. 71, folks, I was a young man. Did it occur to me that Black people had a special day or anything else? Mind you, now it started in 1926. Uh, no, I'll say that. No. Did I study Black history growing up? Not as prominent as some of our younger generations have done. And then they've taken it and twisted it for their own good, their own self being, their own self worth. But as far as Black history goes, it's supposed to be a contribution or story of contributions that Blacks in the United States have made to this country. But now it also includes places like Canada, the United Kingdom, Germany, and even the Netherlands. Even the Netherlands. And let's face it, their struggles were not as prevalent as ours were. Their history did not coincide with the things that were going on in the United States during the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, even all the way up until now. But yet, but yet, Black people are all over the world. And so when this country passed a law about Black people, saying this is Black History Month, why not? We're all Black to a certain degree, let's face it. But if you live in Germany, your Blackness is different from my Blackness here in America. If you lived in Canada, your Blackness is different from my Blackness here in the United States of America. Even in the Netherlands or the Caribbeans or anywhere, their Blackness is different from the history that we have here in the United States of America. Now, am I going to say that America has always loved what they've done to Black people? No, I'm not going to say, because there are people in America that helped in a way to where we're able to talk about things, but not to a certain degree or to a certain light. I'm trying to get within my heart not to sound beat up, worn. I'm just tired. I'm worn out of listening to us as Black people, men and women, talk about things that are so irrelevant to our history and to our coming to this, being brought to this country to be sold under bondage, that now they're even trying to erase it from the history books, but we don't see it. We don't see it. It's being done. Just look at your schools, the books that they don't want in the schools, the things they don't want our Black children to learn. I'm not saying that we need to shame people, but we need to say to the Black person in America, we did this and we're going to really openly apologize. And the reparations, yes, they should give reparations. Uh, that's another thing. What would we do with our reparations? Throughout history, and if we really studied our Black culture or Black history, we were a proud people to a certain degree. But we also had to keep quiet about a lot of things done to us, a lot of things that we did in order to get ahead. The people we stepped on, stepped over, and just walked over to get to where some rich Black people are today. Should we be proud of that? No. But let's face it, that's history. And history does repeat itself. If you don't believe it, check on certain coalitions that have risen to the occasion, were so powerful, then they disappeared. Now you see them on the rise. I always said back in the early days that the KKK traded their sheets in for suits. Think about it, people. Think about it. Am I bashing a group of people that I know throughout history caused terror? They did things to us as Black people here in this Americas. Now, we're not talking about overseas or anywhere else. We're talking about here in these United States, where we're supposed to have been free after a certain date. But there were states that continued on with slavery, and it was done behind the scenes with sharecropping. Uh, you bought a piece of land, you paid for it until who knows, you never got through paying for it. Even your family members had to pay for it. But then we devised a way to get out from under that. Another thing I want to say, Black history is being lost. because we're so busy, like I said, being caught up on here and elsewhere, even out in the world, trying to survive and make that almighty dollar. For what accord? What reason? Because when we leave this earth, all the money in the world is not going to bring you back. Yeah, you can talk about cryogenics and all this other scientific fiction stuff, woo blah, but I've never known a person yet, and I've been here 73, hopefully going on 74 years, to actually physically pass away, even rise up and walk after 3 days, like Jesus did. You know, we say the person can be comatose that they don't know, but yet scientists tell us that we hear and we still can feel things. So that's not death. To me, death is gone. No voice, no movement, no breathing, no brain activity. They put you in the ground. You're still whole, but they didn't embalm you. So that's another thing. Far as coming back and letting people know about things, no, that is the ultimate. Death is the ultimate. But what we leave here as a legacy in recordings, in the news of what we've done or what we said or how we acted with people, that's going to be the history. As I look, let me drink something here, which is coffee. Good morning to all those. Good morning, Miguel. Glad to see you here. Uh, like I said, history, Black history, is lost. It's lost. We don't talk about the people anymore except when we want to make things look good, you know, or we're trying to put a crown on our head with other people. We've had a lot of Black people that have done great things in this world besides sit up and talk about one another on YouTube, which they didn't even have back then. George Washington Carver, Shirley Chisholm, Kathleen Johnson, Benjamin Davis Jr., Dr. Martin Luther King, Thurgood Marshall, Harriet Tubman, Sonia Truth, Booker T. Washington, Ida B. Wells, people, Malcolm X, those people that fought for us and in some cases even died for us. But yet, history has shown that no matter what we do and how prominent we are and how we may rise, there's always been the negativity printed to make us fall. John Lewis, another one. Yes, there are some people that rose to prominence on the backs of others, but there are some other people that did it on their own. I used to love to hear women sit around and talk about the first lady of hair care products and how that the first really Black entrepreneur female and how proud it made them feel. We got people on here now that do things, wonderful things. But through the words, through that word beefing, do we honor them? Do we say anything good about them? No. except when we want something out of a person. History has taught me as a Black man, no matter how hard you struggle or how hard you try to show your Black people that you love them, you care for them, you want something better for them, there's always going to be someone that wants to that wants to get in your way and tell other people that this is not the way to think. This is not the way to be. Let's get out there and be free with life and let's get it free forever and ever. No, nothing's free, people. Even being here on these YouTube streets has cost me freedom. It has cost me a way of thinking about life itself. I still love life, but I don't love the way life is treating me. That's one thing. I love people, but I don't love the way that people treat one another. Can I do anything about it? No, except speak my mind and speak my thoughts on it. And I came here this morning to say this. If we're so proud, if we're so proud of one another as being Black folks, that we can rally and come together when things are tough and rough on us. Right now, it's tough and rough on us, but are we helping? No. Are we saying things to one another to try to uplift our spirits? Yes, some people are, because I'm not going to lie. There are some Black people on here that try to uplift people's spirits, to try to be positive in the things that they say and do every day. But yet we're still caught up in the drama of everything. Now, I said that Black History Month was one of the shortest days of the year, month of the year, rather, which is true. We all know this. But it does run from February 1st to March the 1st. So, in your mindset, really, Black American history is more than 28 days. Okay, let's face it, it is more than 28 days. But it seems like when it comes to the last day, everybody wants to speak up and speak out about it. Black History Month doesn't officially end till after March the 1st, people. So there you have it. Another bit of history that we should put in our books and make sure that everybody knows it's more than really 28 days. It's the shortest day of the year, which comes around every year, February. February is one of the coldest months of the year in some places too. And you're not going to get too many people out there trying to do stuff in February unless they're in a warm climate. I am not going to continue rattling on. I just came up here to say that I thank all those that have sense enough to realize that there's more to life than just tearing a person down. Even with our history, we're tearing it down. The way we treat each other in the eyes of the world as a culture, as a American culture, the ones that who families were actually brought over here and put into bondage and made to build up this country, not those that came afterwards due to they were letting them in for their freedom. So they're helping make this a better place, a better land. No, I don't mean those. I mean all those that ancestors were actually on those plantations. To those families of families that, along with Miss Harriet Tubman, tried to get their freedom. And as they got further north, they found out freedom wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all. The word freedom in Black history hasn't fulfilled us yet. It hasn't came around full circle. Until we once again be proud of places and the communities that we build around us, helping, actually reaching out and helping people. That will be the time to sit up and be proud as a Black man, woman, and child of our own culture. But even Black cultures of different countries look down upon us. We don't say it. Here in America, we've been taught to welcome everybody with open arms, including myself, including myself. I'm not going to beat up on anybody or beat up on anyone. I just want us to think when we listen to YouTube, hear how we sound, hear what we say, hear what we do as Black people. Because this community, internet community, even though we don't have our own neighborhoods anymore, this is supposed to be a place to where we can go express ourselves and be ourselves and help others. But as I said before, that almighty dollar gets in the way. Even on this platform, it gets away. Now, as far as I'm going, I've had people try to ask me how am I doing, what am I doing and everything, but there's a lot of things that I can't let you know because it would only hurt me as a Black man in a case. So I'm going to ask you, how are you doing? Are you happy with your life? Are you happy with the way things are going right now? And when I mean happy, the happiness in the way that we're treating one another on these damn YouTube streets. The way women, I hear women vilify not only themselves, but men as well, Black men, Black women. We vilify one another. I can do that too, but I chose not to. I choose not to. I choose not to be on IG with people behind the scenes. I don't have all this kind of stuff, gadgets, and where I'm listening to each other, where we're sitting behind the scenes talking about one another and then getting mad when somebody says something about another person that we'd never met before, or ever done anything before. I give shout outs to people. I share people on my platform because why? Some of them do make me feel that there's hope in this world, that the younger generation will quit acting out in such a malicious way and start doing things the right way. If you know a person is mentally challenged, don't tease them as much. Try to help them. Show them where to go to get the help. Mothers out there that are struggling with their children, don't be ridiculing them because for the little pittance of the money that you get on YouTube, as they say, the clicks and views and all this. I've watched people, Black people, tear each other down and do things. I'm going to come back later on and comment about what I've been hearing for the last 2.5 weeks. And I've also been out there in the last 2.5 weeks talking with other people on the street, going to see people, mind you, people that change laws here, people that can get on here and do things and say things to you to let you know, hey, you're breaking the law. For what? All of it's not entertainment. All of it's not entertainment, people. Just be careful. That's all I'm saying. Okay, I got to go. I will talk to you later. My phone is ringing. Bye bye.